are live. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon or good noon, wherever you are. I'm Dr. Nazarian, and our guest today is Dr. Sheetal Ajmani, and we are continuing our Mental Wellness Live series. Today is day 5, and we are talking about self-care during uncertainty. I would like to introduce our guest. So Dr. Sheetal Ajmani, she is the founder and creator of Restore Your Radiance, a method that combines modern science, Ayurveda, yoga, mindset, and lifestyle to teach women resilience after major life transitions. As a clinician, author, and wellness expert, she's been featured on Health and Happy Lifestyle Summit, Mind Body Green, Simple Habit, My Design Life Show, and the Doctor Me First podcast, and many more, reminding us to live as the precious priority we are. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for putting on this mental wellness series this week, Nazarian. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So let's talk about self-care. So what is self-care? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's start with the basics. Let's start with that. So I really love the definition of self-care that I found from the Oxford Dictionary. And so they say that self-care is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So I love that definition because it goes over, I think it just highlights a lot of really great points. And I want to kind of break it down a little bit before we move on. So
Sure.
It says, you need to take an active role. So what that implies is that you are an active participant in your self-care. And what I mean by that is that you decide that you are going to make yourself a priority. And what that does is it's actually very empowering when you decide that you're going to take an active role in your own self-care. And then it talks about protecting one's own well-being and happiness, which I also think is such an important piece of that. Dr. Nazarian, in the Western model of health and well-being, being healthy is considered to be the absence of disease. But in Eastern traditions, such as yoga and Ayurveda, which I've trained in, health is actually living a vibrant, radiant life. So it is so much more than the absence of disease. It's actually stepping into and living your best life and having the energy and the joy to do so. It's really, I like this word radiance. It's really living in your radiance. And then the third piece of that definition was in particular during periods of stress. And I think that's so important because that's where self-care comes in, right? Like that's often when we think about self-care is during those hard times. And actually what leads so many of us into self-care is those experiences when life just gets so tough, when life knocks you to your knees and you feel like you really have no other choice but to practice self-care because your survival depends on it. And so that's what I wanted to, get into today. And that's why I selected this topic today, because when life gets tough, when life gets overwhelming and you're surrounded with uncertainty and change, just like this year has brought to all of us really at this point, how do you practice self-care in those moments?
Right. Well, I love that definition, actually. I love that it takes it a step beyond, just, okay, you don't have disease. It's like you don't have disease, but how can you thrive? How can you be your best? The word resilience is very powerful, very powerful. Mm-hmm. So why is self-care important?
So self-care is so important because you are the anchor in your life. You are the foundation in your life. There's all of this going on around you, but you are the anchor of all of that. So to be able to come back to yourself, to that place within you, which is always at peace, which is always at joy, which is the place within you that has solutions from your own intuition, from your own inner guidance, that place within you of that radiance, of that vitality, that is the anchor and that's within you. Because, everything else that goes on around you, right? And if you decide that your anchor or your foundation is one of those external things, whether it's a person or a job or a certain situation, if you make that your anchor, and we know that everything is always changing in life, then you are at the mercy of that thing, that situation, that person, that job. You are at the mercy of that. And so that's what ends up leading you to feeling lost or overwhelmed or frustrated. But if you know that that anchor is within you, that foundation is within you, and if I'm glancing down, sorry, I do have some notes
That's
here
okay.
too. You know, that's what leads you to feeling really empowered and really playing that active role. And so self-care is really taking control over your mind, your emotions, and your physical body and your responses and your reactions. And so it's taking that power that that you may have given to this external situation or external environment, and it's taking that power back to yourself.
Okay. So it's physical, mental, kind of spiritual, you know, embodies more than just one aspect.
Oh, definitely, definitely. There are so many different layers and levels of self-care for sure.
Okay. And so what are some top tips that, you know, you would recommend for practicing self-care in times like this, in times of uncertainty and stress?
Yeah, definitely. So first I want to just touch on like one of the main mindset blocks that I often hear people say about self-care and just how you can overcome them. And then I'm going to go into these tips. So, you know, one of the biggest mindset blocks that I hear people talk about is I just don't have time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to practice self-care. I don't have time to schedule that massage or go to that hour-and-a-half yoga class or painstakingly sit still in meditation when there's all this other stuff to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and let's face it, the fact is that when you are in the thick of it, it can really be hard to take that time. And so I'm really, really passionate about the fact that self-care doesn't have to be hard, and it actually doesn't have to take a long time, that you can take these simple, small actions and they can have a really big impact. So I just wanted to say that first and then kind of lead into those tips. So the first tip I wanted to share with you is to notice what you're already doing for self-care. So often you're already doing things for your self-care, but you may have just not called it that, or you may have not acknowledged or just given yourself credit for it. And so with that, I want you to think about going back to basics, because yes, that massage is really nice. Yes, making it to that hour-and-a-half yoga class is really wonderful. But getting back to basics, because during those times of difficulty, during those times of uncertainty, you realistically may not be able to do those things. So, you know, did you brush your teeth today? Did you take a shower? Are you hydrating? Did you make sure that you sat down to eat at least one meal? You know, hopefully more, but at least, you know, sit down and actually eat consciously, you know, the one meal in that day. You know, are you doing those basic things? And what happens with that is when you start to acknowledge and honor and notice those small acts of self-care that you are already doing, you kind of shift your mindset here from this inner dialogue of, I know I should be taking better care of myself. I know I should make time for that yoga class. I'm so overwhelmed. I wish I had the time for that. You go from that sort of inner dialogue, which is a lot of kind of self-judgment, right? To a dialogue more of acknowledging and celebrating the things that you're already doing. And when you do that, that just amplifies it. So it amplifies those things that you're already doing. And that also, with that little mindset shift, your mind starts to naturally look for more ways to practice self-care.
Yeah. You make a great point, actually. Something that, I mean, many people might not think about is just the daily, you know, activities you do every single day. Showering, you know, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair. Those are self-care as well, you know, but you don't think twice about it. You just do it and move on, right?
Right.
So you do think about these as, you know, I'm doing this for myself. I'm, you know, getting up every day a certain time. I'm eating at least one good meal a day, et cetera, et cetera. Then if you think of it in a positive manner, it is a mental shift, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it takes no extra time. You are literally not adding a single activity to your day, right? Yeah. You're doing all the same things. All you're doing is you're becoming more aware of it. You're just noticing it.
You're just tweaking your mindset a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that.
So that's my first tip, is notice what you're already doing for self-care. My
Mm-hmm.
second tip is to be gentle with yourself. So, you know, here's the thing, especially during any time of difficulty and stress, and especially this year, I feel like 2020 has really been such a year of grieving for so, you know, whether you've lost a loved one or lost a job or any of the other number of things that have gone on this year and continue to go on. I feel like it's been such a year of grieving. And with that, grieving, it is a process, and it is an important process that actually takes a lot out of you. And whether you realize it or not, your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit are constantly processing, continually processing everything that's going on around you. And so it's so important to just be gentle with yourself. And I invite you to give yourself permission. And if that feels hard, I am giving you permission to let go of expecting yourself to do all the things, right? All the things that you would have maybe expected yourself to do a year ago, or expected yourself to do during some other time of your life, to just let go of that and just be gentle, be kind with yourself. And I saw this beautiful question in a book I was reading the other day. And the question was this: how would love heal this? So if you find it hard to be gentle with yourself, or if you're finding it hard to give yourself that permission, maybe try just asking yourself that question. What would love do now? How would love heal this? And even just saying those words just brings a sense of calm to me. And so I wanted to share that with you as well. So that's my second tip, is to just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself permission to maybe not do all the things right now, and that's okay.
Right. So I feel like this step goes hand in hand with the live that we had yesterday, which was self-compassion. You know, be kind to yourself. And that was what Dr. Donna DaCosta and we spent 20-something minutes just discussing it, which I love how the series are tying into each other. So, you know, we talked about what would your best friend say to you, you know, or what would you say to your best friend, you know? So don't say things to yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend.
Right. And that actually kind of leads into my next one, because that practice it's very powerful. It can also feel, I've found personally, it can feel a little challenging too, though, because unless you have that kind of other person, you know, that you're reflecting off of, sometimes it can be hard to do that, to imagine what would I say to my best friend. So actually my third and last tip is to reach out to others, to know that you're not alone. We are social beings. We are meant to connect. And although our specific situations may vary, there might be some individual differences. The fact is that in general, our emotions and overlying experiences all tend to be fairly similar. And so recognizing that you aren't alone and taking that time to connect with others and having some of that reflection. And sometimes it actually is easier. You sometimes, when you are in communication with someone else and you hear those things coming out of your mouth, and you realize, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear. That's exactly what I needed to tell myself right now as well. So that was a perfect segue from that self-compassion. Talk to yourself as you would as a friend, and also connect with others, because the fact is that even if someone isn't going through what you're going through right in this moment, they may have experienced similar emotions, even if it was in a slightly different situation. And just knowing it's, you know, no man, no woman is an island, right? It takes a village, it really does. And so just finding your village, finding your tribe, and just finding ways to connect.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You know, sometimes even just talking it out, having somebody just listening, not even commenting back, can be very, very beneficial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is quite a profound therapeutic and healing effect of simply telling your story, simply narrating it. And it also is a way that your mind processes your experiences, because all of a sudden you take everything that's been going on, that's been the narrative that's been going on in your mind and your emotions, and when you share that with someone else, you have to find a way to process that in a way to make it into words and express it. And it's actually a way for you to process that situation and gain greater clarity simply through telling it.
Yeah. And it's therapeutic, you know? So absolutely agree with all of those points. Those are very, very good points. What do you want our audience to, take away from today's live? What do you want them to walk away with?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is this, just to know that self-care is not selfish. That when you take care of yourself, and I mean like the deepest, innermost parts of yourself, when you take care of yourself, everything else falls into place. And it may not fall into place exactly the way you expected it to, or the way you think it ought to, and that's okay. It falls into place the way it's meant to. So just knowing self-care is not selfish. You deserve it. When you take care of that inner deep part of yourself, your heart and soul and spirit, everything falls into place exactly as it's meant to.
Okay. You had mentioned to me about breathing exercises as well. Do you want to lead us through some of that?
Yeah, so I know that you had a whole section earlier this week on breathing practices as well. So this is one that I think is actually going to kind of tie together, again, some of the pieces from earlier this week. Yeah, so I specifically chose this because I tuning in this week, I realized that this would be a nice practice to kind of tie it all together. So this is a practice from Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a very well-known Buddhist monk and teacher. And in this practice, you are going to use your breath to help acknowledge some of your emotions and just send some peace and love to them. So as examples, I'm going to use emotions of anger, sadness, and fear as I notice those emotions coming up as through different sessions this week. And so I think those would be really wonderful emotions to just continue to explore a little bit more with gentleness and ease. And at the same time, if there's another emotion that's coming up for you when we get to those parts, you can just substitute that word for yourself, okay? So go ahead and find a comfortable seat. So make sure you're sitting comfortably. I'm going to scoot to the edge of my seat here so that I can sit upright. So if you're sitting in a chair, maybe just kind of scoot a little bit to the edge, not too far to the edge, but a little bit to the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Just so that you can sit a little bit more upright. Keep your feet planted on the ground. So if your legs are crossed, just uncross them and keep your feet planted flat. And just rest your hands on your lap or on your knees. And then I want you to close your eyes or just gaze softly at a spot on the floor, just to begin to take your awareness inwards here.
And I just want to encourage the audience to also do this with us.
Yes, that is 100% my intention. So please, if you're watching, please join us here. So feet are planted on the floor. Rest your hands on your lap or on your knees. Eyes gently closed or just gazing softly at a spot on the floor in front of you. Just noticing that connection beneath your feet, noticing that support of the floor, the earth beneath you. And then finding length through your spine so that you're sitting upright. Torso is lifted up, lifting through the crown of your head. And then begin to take your awareness to your breath. And I want you just to notice it. Just notice, observe your breath, following your inhale and following your exhale. Just noticing your inhale and noticing your exhale. And then I'm going to add some words to this. So just follow my lead, just silently, mentally saying these words to yourself, or just allowing me to guide you through this. So as you notice your breath, silently repeating to yourself, breathing in, I'm aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware that I am feeling anger. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of anger. Breathing in, I am aware that I am feeling anger. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of anger. Breathing in, I am aware that I am feeling sadness. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of sadness. Breathing in, I am aware that I am feeling sadness. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of sadness. Breathing in, I am aware that I am feeling fear. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of fear. Breathing in, I am aware that I'm feeling fear. Breathing out, I send peace to those feelings of fear. Breathing in, I am aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware that I am breathing out. And just continue to follow your breath. Releasing the words, letting go of those words, those mantras or affirmations, and simply following your breath. Continuing to notice your inhale and your exhale. Noticing your inhale and your exhale. And then begin to bring your awareness back to your feet and your hands. And then place one hand over your heart center and your other hand over that. Gently bow your chin towards your hands. And take a moment here to honor and acknowledge yourself for taking this time to tune in. To tune into this series, to tune into this session, and most importantly, this time you took to tune in to yourself. Whenever you feel ready, you can gently flutter open your eyes and relax your hands.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was very peaceful.
Oh,
Very
good.
calming.
Good.
I hope the audience was practicing with us.
Yes, and please let us know how that felt for you, and know that this is a practice you can do at any time as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ajmani. And I would like for you, if possible, to tell us if, the audience would like more information, where they can get in touch with you, or, if you have a website, share that with us.
Sure. Yeah, I would love for you to connect with me. If any of this resonated with you, you can reach me at my website, sheethalajmani.com. That's my first and last name.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at Sheethal Ajmani MD. I also have a group called Getting Real About Self-Care, where I talk about all things self-care. That's here on Facebook as well. I also wanted to let you know that I have a free offering. So if you're looking for more kind of tips and guidance to just stress less and live in your radiance, especially as we move into the holidays, I have these short 5-minute audio sessions, a series of them that go over practicing self-compassion, practicing mindfulness, and improving your digestion, as digestion is so intimately linked to your mind and emotions. So I'll put a link to that below as well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I'm sure, with the holiday season coming in, all the stress that's going on, and even individuals would be interested in that. So, would appreciate it very much if you put that all in the comments. You can also put your group in there, and your website, how everybody can get in touch with you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Nazarian. It's been wonderful tuning into your mental wellness series this week and also having the opportunity to share today.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you, everybody who's been tuning in. This is actually the last of our live sessions for the mental wellness series. I hope that if you've missed the ones in the past, you can go back and, view those. I really hope that this has brought some calm, some peace, and, helped in some way, shape, or form. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time. All right, we're going to go offline. Bye.